morning, New Beginnings. We're here once again, and we are so blessed at our church to have incredible musicians and people that have stepped up for the last 10 weeks to play and do worship for you. And today we decided to do something a little different. We just have our staff here. We just wanted to join you in your homes for worship today. So we know that God's presence is with us right now, and we believe that God's presence is with you wherever you're at right now. So let's join in together in worship. Just focus on God. Thank Him for the blessings and all the incredible things He's done in our life. Amen.
Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whispers of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleasing them, never alone. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. It's who you are. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. To It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Thank you, God. Thank you. Lord bless you and keep you. Make His face shine upon you. Be gracious to you. Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace. Lord bless you and keep you. Make His face shine upon you. Be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace.
Being intentional about worshiping today and inviting the presence of the Holy Spirit into your home, because I know He's there. I just want you guys to really dig deep right now into what God has to say to you and know that He wants to bless you and your family. This song that we're singing is God's word, His spoken breath of life that it should give us. So let's just sing this with all of our hearts and souls. And if you're there as a family, let's do it together as a family.
Generations.
gracious to you. Lord, turn his face toward you and give you peace.
Well, good morning, New Begins family. We are so glad that you're joining us again for virtual NB, and we are many weeks into this series, and we've had a lot of fun. We've been all over the place. We've filmed from Taos, we've filmed from my house, we've filmed from Ashley Pond, Fuller Lodge, from the church, all over the place. And we want to continue to be creative, and so we're starting a brand new series today called In-House. As you saw earlier, worship was done in-house by all of our staff, and so it's kind of funny how it kind of worked out, the timing of all of that. And so today we're beginning this series, and week one we are in the McNeil home. What do you guys call this house? You guys have a name that you call your house?
Casa de Gringo Guapo.
Casa de Gringo Guapo. Yep. And so Mike is one of the board members at the church, and Juanita serves on our prayer team. And so they wear many, many hats at the church. And so we thought, what a better way to kick this off by being in your guys' home, in-house, and to kind of talk to you guys and a little bit of kind of interview what's been happening in the McNeil home over the last 10 weeks. What have you guys been doing to deal with this stay-at-home order and being quarantined and all of that? What's life been like?
Go ahead.
Mike, what's life been like?
All right. It's been different. It's been all sorts of emotions, up, down, exciting, scary, but yeah, different, but good.
So I know that this house is kind of the community home. Like there's like 15 people that live here, right?
Mostly they don't live here, but yes, there's definitely like a slight homeless shelter type issue going on here.
Homeless shelter. So how have you guys dealt with that? With, people coming in on a regular basis, just showing up, like even just a few minutes ago when we were here, like people just came in the house,
Yeah, well, it's definitely been a lot less traffic than usual, because most people are staying at home with whoever their real family is, and they just come visit us. But for the most part, we still have had a few visitors here and there, and I don't know. We've stayed within our family group. Hopefully the governor's not watching, because there have been a few instances when other people have shown up, like our visitors that just left. So, but all in all, that's been the adjustment. The hardest part is that normally there are a constant flow of young people that will come in and out and visit, and people from Colorado that come and show up and visit unannounced, and yes, all sorts of things.
So as we look at that, we think about that. I know that your heart for people is something that is really what drives it. People feel welcome to come into your home, and so how does that translate into ministry, so to speak? People coming to your house and this being a safe place for them to come to.
It translates into ministry in that, one of the cool things was we have made breakfast on Sunday mornings, and some visitors have come by to enjoy breakfast and watch church.
So you've been hosting watch parties.
Well, I wouldn't say that, because what if the governor's watching this right now? I would say like social distancing breakfast, like if my burrito can touch your burrito, then we're too close. But breakfast in church.
So have you received an occupancy load from the fire marshal for your house?
No, because if they did that, they would realize that the occupancy level is much larger than the home actually.
Okay, so by not having one, you're actually good.
It works.
We're
totally at like 50% of normal. So
But I would-
25% of
20
50.
well,
Yeah,
on
25.
Sundays we only do 25
Okay,
right now.
good.
If we're doing in-house dining starting Monday, it would be 50%.
But I
Everything
would
else is
also
on the
add-
patio since
I would
yesterday.
also add that we have like a large immediate family.
Yeah.
So like the largeness of an immediate family, it is 15 people sometimes. And so I'm not gonna like not allow them in our home or change that perspective, but we're still being responsible, like when we go to the grocery store and we still only go like once a week and those kinds of things. But as far as our home, it's still open.
Well, it's interesting because I think every family unit is responding to this whole process very different. There are some that, because of their condition or because of their scenario, they are more exposed or they are more vulnerable to COVID-19. If they were to catch it, if they were to contract it, could be life-threatening for them. And then there's others that it's not so much, and so they're still being responsible, but their guard is down a little bit and kind of taking it. So even as we look at this, kind of going back into regular services, of course, I've been asked all the time, and even more recently, when are we going to start regular services? And we don't have an exact answer because this is a moving target. Seems like our governor continues to move it a little bit closer to where we could be at 50%. And that initially was kind of where we were at or where we wanted to be before we started gathering again. But we'll see how things play out over the next couple of weeks. But we really want to take it slow. And based on our review that we sent out a couple weeks ago, people are still kind of not sure when they would come back. So we're just going to take it slow and kind of go as things progress. And when people feel more comfortable with getting back to being in a regular situation. And, this is a unique situation. As close as we are right now, we are definitely not social distancing, but we're around each other.
We're not as close as we normally would be. So.
That is very true. That is very true. But one of the things that I know that we want to bring out of this series is we've all been relating and dealing with this stay-at-home order and this whole social distancing and this whole process in a very different way. But I believe, and I've been praying and hoping that there are some good things that are coming out of it. What are maybe some good things that your home is experiencing because of this situation?
I think some of the good things are, we're at home more, so you spend more time as a family. The outings that we have done, like we've gone hiking out here past the house on the end of the mesa, and it's just been our family group. We don't even see other people on the trail, you know what I mean? And we did go spend a weekend in the RV in Chama, and the whole RV park had 5 RVs, and the next closest person was 1,000 yards from us, and we were 10 feet from a river. And so our family got to enjoy the outdoors, but we weren't around anybody. So that quality family time, we've eaten dinner, almost every night as a family at the table, which, you lose sight of when you're busy and, work and everything else going on. And so that side of it's been a true blessing.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, that our life is usually far more hectic than it is right now. So this has actually kind of been a blessing for us.
Yeah.
Mostly because it has slowed us down, like we had to slow down because we're not doing side jobs. We're not doing all the kinds of things that we normally do. So we have been at home and eating dinner and spending time with the kids and just different things. And like you said, it may not have affected our open door. Like, people are still welcome in our home.
Yeah.
But it still has slowed us down and let us just kind of relax and be good. And for the most part, Mike and I have been tested with pretty horrible seasons in our past. And we've always trusted God, like with faith. Like my husband had several, I don't even know already time now, spoke about it in the past. And faith really is our foundation. And So, I mean, we know God's in control and he'll get us through this. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we have to be smart, but we're doing life still.
Yeah. So I know one of the things that happened to your family right as this whole thing kind of blossomed and we went into a stay-at-home order, you guys went on a trip overseas. You guys went to Greece, right? And you actually got sick while you were over there. Talk to us a little bit about that whole scenario, probably the shortened version because I know the long version, but how it affected you.
So honestly, this whole thing, when I say it's been a complete range of emotions, is just because of that. I got sick in Greece, and being in another country, you know, your health insurance doesn't work. You can't just go see your regular doctor. And so they do things differently there. You go to a pharmacist. So the whole experience was just different. And it's not comfortable. You're not at home.
Yeah.
The benefit of home is when you're sick, you crawl into your bed and you watch Netflix, and you in another country, it brought on anxiety, which I've never really had before. But then, you know, even then coming back and still not feeling well, and you know, I think I was sick for almost a month, and you know, who knows? We joke that I already had COVID, right? Because I had pneumonia, but I was negative for all 13 types of pneumonia, right? And they couldn't really figure it out, but I never got tested. So I you know, someday we'll find that out.
You tested for all those flus,
right?
But you didn't qualify to get COVID-19 testing
because I had already I had been sick for too long, and it was early in the process, and they weren't supplying tests at that point. So I couldn't qualify for a test, so I never got tested, and you know, maybe it was a blessing, but it was scary nonetheless, coming back and not feeling good, and then trying to do as much as I could, trying to figure out how to make sure like guys that work for me are still getting paychecks, and you know, how to just adjust to, you know, a job that is normally so busy to all of a sudden you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, tenants wondering, you know, wow, how does this work for us? What if we can't pay our rent? And guys asking, you know, well, are we still going to get paid even though we can't come to work? And so there was a lot of stress, but I think like Juanita said, we've been, you know, through a lot as far as tests and stuff, and so even with the fear and the anxiety, you know, one of the things that helped with the anxiety was just like listening to some worship music and remembering like, hey, and I'm usually really good at faith. With finances, and this tested that faith in that it's something new. I didn't know what to tell guys. I've never lived through this. I don't even know anybody that's ever lived through a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And so it tested me early on, because early on I was full of anxiety and freaked out, and then it was like, okay, wait a minute, this is like everything else.
Yeah.
God's got a plan. It's going to work out.
So I don't know if you've experienced anything like what Mike and Juanita have gone through, but I know in my life that every time I've been faced with a difficult situation, I feel that I'm the only one that's going through that, or I'm the only one that's experiencing that. And maybe what you're experiencing today, you may feel like no one else has gone through what I've gone through. I'm the only one dealing with this. I'm the only one dealing with anxiety and stress and pressure and all these different things. And so, Mike, is there an encouraging word that you could say to somebody who's watching today that may be where you were a month and a half ago? Because I was with you. I remember the emotion and the fear. What could you say to somebody today, now that that's kind of subsided? What could you tell them today that would help them to be at peace and for their faith to be increased?
Well, for me, Jeremiah 29:11 has always been big, right? Like, so knowing like, hey, there's a plan. And just, I think for me, every day that we get into this, I just, my faith grows, because it's like, hey, you know, it's scary. It's all of those things. But ultimately, like, one day at a time, God's got a plan. Things work out. You know, it's
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
okay.
What's Jeremiah 29:11?
So, for I know the. You put me on the spot.
That's what happens when you get put on the spot. It's
with
something you
yeah.
can know every day and you can quote it, but as soon as you get put on the spot, your brain just goes, blah,
Yeah.
right? So,
Right.
for
But
I know
the plans. Right, that I have, and I actually, for me, after that it says, if you come to me and pray to me, I will hear your prayers.
Yeah.
And so I think that's verse 12 or 13. But the whole thing is, hey, I have a plan. If you're worried, take some time, pray. I'm listening, and I've got this.
So part of that too is that next phrase in that verse is, I have a plan to prosper you and to not harm you.
Yeah.
And so we look at all the things in this world that we could say, well, that hurt me, or that harmed me, or I got sick because of that. And we say, God, where's your provision? Where's your protection in that? But we must understand that we live in a corrupt world. And sometimes we get sick. Sometimes we deal with things because of a decision or a choice that somebody else made. And even last week, I talked about that in our message, that sometimes there's things from our past that we have to learn to forget. But we have to remember that God is faithful. And you might be going through something now that might be painful. It might hurt. But in the end, there are things that can give glory and honor to God if we approach them with the right mindset and the right perspective. And so that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I would say, like Mike said, that we did do a lot of worship during that time. We would listen to it together. We would pray together. And then we would also reach out to, friends that we had the same kind of positive reinforcement to help support us in that time.
And I think one of the other tactics of the enemy is isolation. And so when you feel like you're the only one who's going through it and you're all alone, that's exactly where the enemy wants you. And so the connection, the relationships together are key to that. I know that there were times where you and I together, and we were having conversation, and we would pray together about that. And again, that doesn't necessarily fix everything, but it helps us to know that somebody else knows about what I'm going through. And we're there to encourage one another and to help one another. And so I don't know what you're going through today, what you might be experiencing, but I will tell you this. Mike and Juanita are a testament of being faithful to God, even in difficult times. And there are going to be trials. Jesus said that we would go through difficult times. And so our hope is in Him, that He will get us through everything that we're going through. God's going to get us through this. I'm believing that here in a couple months, we'll be able to look back and go, wow, God, you were with us through the storm. And even though we cried out screaming, we're going to die, and where's the end of it? Jesus, wake up. Why are you sleeping in the boat? As the disciples were afraid and they lacked faith, I pray that your faith is increased through this season, that families are closer together, that we learn to pray together, that we learn to rely on one another, and that we are the church. Although we're not in the building, we are the church, and we can still be the church. And so we want to pray for you. We want to believe good things for you. And so make sure you go to our Facebook page for our prayer partners. Make sure you let us know. We want to pray with you. We want to pray for you. We're believing for good things for you. We love you so very much, and we can't wait till we get back to be together. And we hope that this series, this in-home series, encourages you and helps you. I know that we're starting to do watch parties, so make sure you're looking for those emails, looking for the details about those things that are happening. And we are just praying for favor and for health for you. Please be praying for people that you may know that they're dealing with this. Let me just tell you, mental and emotional health is key through this season. We know that there are people in our community that are really, really struggling with that. And so we just encourage you, bombard heaven. Be praying for your neighbors. You don't know what your neighbors might be going through. And so pray for them. Reach out to them and just be the church, be the gospel, be Jesus, be the light and the salt and let's impact our community for the greater good. All right? We love you so very much, and we look forward to seeing you soon. God bless. You guys have anything you want to say?
We miss you.
Miss you.
Definitely.
We'll see you. God bless.